Thank you. We must challenge our future. We must demand that the leadership of Florida manages our assets in a methodical manner that produces sustainable results. With an overall budget being a shade under $70 billion, we must challenge our future. With this investment, we must be prepared to stop playing checkers, where the goal is to be king, and see our future as a chess match in which much thought, deliberation, and consideration goes into planning our future. Challenging our future for the young, for the middle-aged, for the more mature, or the low mileage. This is not about finding and assigning fault. This election is about finding solutions. It's a time to reboot, rebuild, and rebalance. This is about effective leadership, and effective leadership is putting first things first. For the young, rebooting our educational system. A child miseducated is a child lost, JFK said. We cannot afford to lose a generation. Right now our teachers are severely confined and restricted. It is as though they have been yoked with an unbearable burden. They are confined to teaching a test. Everything has become bent. Our children are losing their ability to critically think. The buzz talk about competing globally should be about competing locally. How about when somebody brings a resume to you as employers of the city of Key West or elsewhere that has a Key West high school diploma? How about that meaning something? Why are we worried about what it means in China, Russia, and Indonesia when locally, when somebody brings a high school diploma, it should mean that they can read, they can write, and they can count. We must challenge our future. We must allow our teachers to be free. Allow them to exercise their abilities with a capacity that they have, instead of teaching a test. We have an 18-story building with 1,000+ bureaucrats and a $100 million budget, and nobody knows what they do. It's called the Department of Education. And their latest innovation is to decide to grade each and every school, forgetting about the diversity and the complexity of each school, not even beginning to understand that it's not like comparing apples to apples or oranges to oranges. We must challenge our future. I want to challenge because I have to every day help 4 little ones, Abby, Gabby, not too shabby, do their homework. I have 4 little ones who are straight A students, and now they're more concerned with a test than with learning and with understanding and with what a school can make them. We need to start the budget backwards. It must start in the classroom and work its way out. We must choose to truly invest and make the legislature take the real test. Challenge for young adults. How about college or vocation? How about the fact that collegiate debt has taken over credit card debt and grown in mass? How about the fact that collegiate debt has taken over automobile loan debt? How about the fact that educational costs are rising at 4 times that of inflation? We must rein in our collegiate institutions. We must plant a seed that allows for each individual to grow, whether they choose college or whether they choose a vocation as a trade. We must provide that opportunity at an affordable pace. They say that an average senior that's graduating from high school today, that by the time they amass debt and they come into the working world at the salaries that are at present time, that will take them 20 years to pay it off. Where are we at with collegiate education? We must make our legislature pass the test. Continuing on, we must look at rebuilding. Rebuild. We truly need to rebuild our insurance issue. Citizens, windstorm. I started with an idea that has been rolled out, and I believe will work. It will allow us to create our own quasi-governmental agency that will allow us to insure ourselves. I found a group. The group is named Willis. And this group is very unique in that they take into account two very important things for the Keys. And it's been said by a firm multiple times that no modeling that's out there takes into account our construction methodology. Well, guess what? Willis takes into account construction methodology. And not only do they take into account construction methodology, but they also take into account predictive storms. Right now, most modeling is done with past storms. These guys actually look at predicating the future of storms, which will release us in regards to risk. The concept is very simple. Everybody's seen those commercials that are out there that says, hey, you want to get an insurance discount? Get your auto insurance, your boat insurance, get it all from one place. All we need to do is begin to bring the county together. The city of Key West, the city of Marathon, the city of Layton, the city of the village of Alamorado, and the county. Collectively bring their insurance plans so that they can begin to lay the first of the foundation. After that foundation is laid, one of the most important factors is that an insurance policy has to be pre-purchased. And what we can do is we can use reserves from the cities and from the county to pre-purchase the policies, which will be replaced as the individual policy owners purchase the policies, which means that we can stabilize rates today and see in the near future that our rates can actually go down. We must rebuild our insurance. Our systems are broken in a lot of ways. Let's look at our prison systems. In our prison systems, do you realize that our prisoners have better insurance than we do? That right now, in South Florida, the contract that is in place, if you're a prisoner and something happens to you and you have to go for surgery, you get robotic surgery. It's something that most people's insurance plan won't even think of paying for. Am I against affording a prisoner the opportunity for health care? No. But there's something wrong with our health care system when we, as taxpayers, are paying for those who are being incarcerated. Let's look at our prison systems in a different light. Right now we have a 33% recidivism rate. What an investment we're making. $1.8 billion, and a third of it is walking out the door and walking right back in. Our prison systems need to be rebooted, restarted, rebuilt. They need to be looked at, remeasured. They need to look at the opportunity that was modeled in Texas that allows for faith-based groups to be integrated into the lives of families that are outside the prison as well as prisoners inside the prison, that allows for the support groups that will continue on where they lowered their recidivism rate to only 12%. What type of future do we want? What do we want to be known for? Our malls? Our golf courses? How about our people? What the government is based upon. Are we going to truly operate a Department of Correction, or are we going to an expensive revolving door? We're building prisons faster than we're building schools. Right now there was a major push to privatize all of our prisons. It's not about the economic side of it only, because you can privatize it and you still have not effectuated correction. The opportunity that must be presented in these institutions is the opportunity to take them off our payroll and put them into place. Our prisoners should be working on it. Not one of us should have to wash our cars. Not one of us should have to mow our lawns. Anybody that is in prison should be servicing those individuals that are truly paying for their stay. Rebalance, in closing. Tallahassee isn't too far to the left. It isn't too far to the right. It's actually kind of like me. It's overweight. It's overweight with lobbyists and special interests. It's overweight to the point where people are putting politics in front of policy. We can see that in the underlying message of Medicaid. 25% of the suggested payout of Medicaid is fraud. Fraud. And yet we try to get legislation through this past session that would regulate assisted living facilities in a manner that would equate to the ability to find fraud, and it was defeated. It was defeated in the end where the actual individual sponsor ended up backing out of it because of his relationship with lobbyists. We need to look at a model in regards to health care like we're seeing in California or Arizona, where we begin to stand up a computer that actually has an amazing brain. And what it does is it looks at every service that happens and begins to track doctors that truly are in it for themselves, not for what they were called to do. We need to rebalance. In the beginning, I said that we need to challenge our future. I said that we needed to reboot, rebuild, and rebalance. And I'm asking you to allow me to represent District 120. I have the heart for this office. I have the mind to look for the solutions that we need. And I'm asking you to give me the ability to serve you. Thank you. Morgan McPherson for your time.
Sure, it's lovely to be here tonight. Thank you, Tommy, for the invitation. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your fantastic club. I'm proud to say that I'm a member now of the Southernmost Republican Club. I think we can all agree that in Tallahassee, experience counts. And a Republican with experience is even better. And I've spent nearly the last decade working for the Florida legislature. In fact, my last task before I resigned was to set up the cabinet meeting with the governor in Marathon. And many of us here tonight were there. And I think we can all agree that it was a success. And the keys were highlighted, as were many of our issues. And I've spent many years helping constituents navigate state agencies, drafting legislation to benefit our community, working on the budget for local projects. I don't need a directory to know who to call to solve a problem. I was a fellow aide with the incoming speaker, Will Weatherford. I can hit the ground running, and I'm ready to get to work for you, to quote our good Governor Scott. A lot of you are wondering what issues I stand for, other than the main Republican ones: lower taxes, less government, support for our families. That's the thing about issues in state government, is you have to know all of the issues. I've helped people with parking issues in DOT. I have a feeling we'll be getting some calls about the Roosevelt project. It's really close. I have helped young families find health insurance. I've helped the elderly find housing, and I've helped unemployed veterans find jobs. I was there when the firm movement started, and I drafted those early amendments that helped keep our windstorm insurance rates low as can be expected. And like Morgan said, that is an issue that's going to continue to be talked about, and we really do need to find a real solution for that. And I wasn't there when the state passed the unfunded mandate for wastewater, but I have been working behind the scenes to get every dollar possible for Monroe County. And you all in Key West are finished with wastewater, but what about stormwater funding? I think that's something that we can get accomplished. And while we have the lowest jobless rate in the state, hooray, our economy still is not up to par by pre-recession standards. And I think that's something we all can work together on. In the coming election, you're going to have a choice on who you want your next state representative to be. And I hope that you will choose Holly Raschein, August 14th, 2012.
Who's your question to
My question will be for in my travels from Key West all the way up to Kendall, obviously the Keys is the area, if you look at the Keys and the Atlantic side of Route 1, that's the one that's come into a lot of controversy when it comes to pricing for sure. Okay, because you've got storms, you've got hurricanes, and it's not as much to the west of Route 1, which is my district. When you come to talk about firm, the thing that you're talking about right now, the one that you just mentioned, is that to do with the taking Monroe County by itself and set it up in some kind of insurance structure that would be different requirements? Now, for instance, you talk to different people, and I'm going the whole way up to Kendall, so I'm seeing a lot more different people, and I'm talking to a lot of different mayors, and I'm talking to a lot of different entities on themselves, literally. So, is that a way to get it away from underneath the models that they're using with citizens, which really don't fit what the Keys do because of the way we're structured?
Absolutely. The Florida Keys are unique, and very unique. And most of the considerations that go into that unique position, the stretch of the idea that a storm couldn't hit all 120 miles, the idea that our construction code is higher than everybody else's. So yes, this would be only a Monroe County program. Now ultimately, the goal would be to roll in the Gold Coast too, so that the higher volume that we have, the more people that we end up getting into it, that our rates would go lower. But we have to start somewhere. This is a project that's never been rolled out before. We're taking out the middleman all the way, and we're going directly to Willis, which Willis actually insures 50% of the reinsurance for citizens at this particular point. So yes, it would be a standalone plan.
The model data that we've been studying fits with exactly what you're talking about, because it's out of sync with the model data that the citizens use, the citizen insurance companies use for us.
And it always will be.
Guys, our current rep is Ron Saunders, who's like one of the most powerful Democrats in the state, and that does us, with respect, no good at all. How, assuming we get a Republican in place, how does that change the view of Monroe County in Tallahassee?
Well, I think that brings us to the forefront, even more so than Ron even being our state's minority leader. And I have the potential with my personal contacts in helping out District 120 even more. I have the potential of being moved up into leadership quickly. I have a wonderful working relationship with the incoming speaker, like I said earlier, Will Weatherford. And the continuing wastewater funding that we're hoping to get, that last $150 million, I think there's a good potential out there to get that, and other such funding and policies passed for our community. It will be good.
Morgan, I'm sure you got a comment.
Yeah. Politics is about relationships, and building relationships is what gets us through the door. I mean, having an art is very important, but outstanding that not only is Will obviously extremely important, but so is Chris Warwick, who is right behind him. And so we have amassed a deep relationship. It's also about the relationships that extend even through that. meaning that the city of Key West hosted the Hispanic caucus for the 4 years that I was mayor. And those relationships are in place too. So Holly's right. Having an R behind your name is important, but defining those relationships and working through it. But in stark honesty, there's not going to be any incoming freshman that is going to be jumping the other Republicans that are in place. So it's about building those relationships and holding on to what we have and moving forward.
Thanks. I'd like to ask about the 7% reduction in the clerk of courts budget for the money for the whole. But I'm not going to ask about that. Okay.
Last minute.
What? Last minute, basically. But Morgan, you talked a lot about the education financing program, and of course, just like Tommy said about FIRM, we bleed about $13 million out of Monroe County for education. We contribute about $26 million to the education budget. We get about $13 million back. Either of you, as representatives, would you advocate, or what would you advocate as far as any changes in the Florida Education Finance Program formulas to make that a more equitable balance in terms of the money coming back into the county for education?
Historically, Florida Key students have gotten the most funding per student. And I haven't seen the FEFP lately, but the runs, as they call them. And I believe we still do get, and Morgan, correct me if I'm wrong, that we still do get the highest
we get the lowest state subsidy
per student, but the highest funding amount per student.
That money's local. I'm talking about the state portion of it.
That comes back. Still, I actually don't have a prepared answer, and I would have to get back to you on that. I don't want to give you false pretense.
I would say that, Stu, it's not just about that. What it's about is truly standing on Republican ideals, which is decentralizing government. Everything's at Tallahassee, and it shouldn't be. It should be down here at the most local level. School boards should have far more autonomy. They should have the ability to take care of themselves. At the end of the day, we have, like I said, an 18-story building, the biggest one in the whole Tallahassee area, that's full of bureaucrats. And FCAT's the big thing, and they don't even distribute or manage the FCAT. It's outsourced. So if we just took that $110 million that goes into the average salary, which is $100,000 with benefits, and just disperse that locally, it would make a huge difference. And I truly believe that we need to decentralize the Department of Education. It's not about changing and lowering the standards. We can have a state standard, we can have a national standard. It's about localizing it and recognizing the diversity of our county and other counties and letting us be who we should be.